The oil price has surged by more than 3% over just the past 24 hours. It's certainly raising inflationary fears across much of the world. That price is being closely watched in America, where inflation is already at a 3-decade high. It's certainly piling the pressure on various households. Although the president, U.S. President Joe Biden, he's adamant the country's finances are actually thriving.
We're experiencing the strongest economic recovery in the world. Even after accounting for inflation, our economy is bigger, and our families have more money in their pockets than they did before the pandemic.
The rising oil price comes despite Joe Biden's decision to release millions of barrels of oil from U.S. strategic reserves over the coming months. RT correspondent in New York, Caleb Maupin, now assesses whether the move could save Biden's plummeting ratings.
Joe Biden's claim is that the U.S. economy is recovering better than literally anywhere else on the planet. Now, this comes after the commander-in-chief announced he was going to open up the country's strategic petroleum reserve and put 50 million extra barrels of oil onto the market in coming months. Many have dismissed this move as simply a publicity stunt, not in the least because it only covers no more than a few days' supply.
Biden releasing 3 days' worth of oil that taxpayers already paid for.
Joe Biden would rather dip into our strategic oil reserve than put Americans to work in the energy industry.
Biden gave away our biggest bargaining chip when he shut down domestic oil production. What incentive would OPEC have to negotiate when they know we have nowhere else to go? The price gouging is just beginning.
Biden is hoping to tackle inflation and the soaring gas prices at a time where he and his policies are quite unpopular. 70% of Americans see the economic situation as poor. Biden's approval ratings are dropping. We decided to ask people on the street what they think.
The inflation rates are high right now, so the economy is not going fast right now. It's actually going slow.
People are buying things. The stock market seems good, but on the other hand, inflation is rising.
We might not be seeing as much progress as fast as we would like based on the promises that he made.
He has blamed the rise in oil prices on global supply not keeping up with demand. At this point, the White House is blaming other countries and energy companies for holding up deliveries. Every day, the United States consumes roughly 18 to 19 million barrels of oil. Biden's only releasing 2 to 3 days' supply over the course of the next few months. The impact isn't likely to be very much. The White House is trying to put pressure on OPEC, and it has repeatedly called on OPEC plus countries like Russia and Saudi Arabia to pump more oil and drive the price down. Remember, OPEC represents 77% of the world's crude oil reserves, so tapping strategic reserves may continue to have less of an impact than many would like. Caleb Maupin, RT, New York.
We spoke with economist Jeffrey Tucker. He sees Biden's oil intervention as a temporary fix for a worsening problem.
This looks to me like a foreshadowing of something really terrible. You have at least an acknowledgement on the part of the Biden administration that inflation is becoming a problem, especially in oil prices. But he's focusing on this because gas prices are going way up and people are really upset, and it's driving down his poll numbers. So he wants to be seen as doing something. So to release the reserve is purely a cosmetic attempt to please people, but it's not going to make any difference in prices over the long term. If anything, it's going to have the opposite effect of causing people to realize that that's not an illusion, that we've got major problems, and we could see as a result an increase of demand towards hoarding and panic buying. So I think my prediction is that this is going to drive the problems to become even worse than they were already.
We also heard from the former Austrian Foreign Minister, Kasel. She thinks there's a contradiction in Biden's pledge to ditch fossil fuels while promising all the while cheaper fuel for consumers.
The U.S. administration was already in a quagmire in summer, being torn apart between, on the one hand, getting out of oil, stopping all kinds of oil projects within the United States, and on the other hand, assuring the U.S. customer cheaper oil and thereby asking OPEC and OPEC Plus to bring in cheaper oil. I mean, this is a tightrope walk that doesn't function. I don't think that this kind of move, which is a very short-term thing, and we have seen the reaction by the market. The prices didn't go down. Actually, there was also quite a moving up. So it's domestic politics for a few days, but nothing more than that.